Welcome to the first episode of Building Epic Cities. The goal of this series is to build the most epic fortress city ever created in high peaks, which we will name Rodin Pass. We'll be playing in the harsh scenario, restoring the peace on hard difficulty. As Cicero once said, the greater the difficulty, the greater the glory. And all of this while listening to some of the greatest classical music pieces. Among other reasons, because they're free. In this first episode, we have 3 objectives. Explore the map and its resources, visualize some key elements we want to see in the future city, and plan them out. And finally, to lay the foundation of this epic city, we will design the initial road network that will begin to shape the town. Let's explore the area and the region we've been assigned. Right off the bat, we've got 2 rich resource nodes, clay and salt. This will bring income through exports, and we will also be able to produce sausages. There are berries and deer as well, so we should be able to feed the first settlers reasonably well for a while. On the downside, this is a poor farming region, so crop yields will be marginal. I will probably unlock apple orchards here to make up for it, but we will see that later. Looking around a bit more, I always try to visualize the flow of resources, from when they are produced to where they will be needed. My idea is to build the urban core on the elevated plateau, with a castle at the edge of the cliff. I will try to expand it with palisades all along the region's edge. Then, around the resource nodes, I will concentrate all the industrial and extractive infrastructure of salt, clay, wood, etc. And farther south, an agricultural zone with large backyard gardens, likely some orchards as well, and maybe sheep pastures. What I am envisioning looks something like this. The stronghold here, overlooking the region, along with palisades that I'll try to run along the region border. In fact, I want to fortify both sides of the valley, and this region is ideal for securing this side. Then, as I said, a dense urban area on the plateau with wide avenues, marketplaces, storages, etc. Near the resource nodes, we'll place all the extractive industry, clay, salt, wood, charcoal, and the food nodes. And finally, that agricultural area. Mostly large backyard gardens, a few isolated fields since fertility is low, and possibly orchards and sheep. So, let's get moving and start designing the initial road network that will give shape to what we've just visualized. As you will see over the next few minutes, I tend to tweak and adjust roads quite a bit, so this part of the video will be heavily speed up. I don't know about you, but I find it oddly satisfying to watch the roads being built at full speed while Beethoven's Symphony No. 6 plays in the background. Speaking of roads, it's often useful to break them up into segments, because if you ever need to delete part of them, it won't wipe out the whole line, just the bit you want to remove. Once we finish that avenue that will cut through the urban core, we'll start laying out the perimeter roads that will roughly define the limits of the city center. Here we're leaving a reasonably large space for the future fortress. I use a large building, the tavern, as a size reference to get a rough idea of how much space the castle will need. This section here, and others you will see later, will be circular. I like to combine straight and curved streets, sometimes even concentric ones. And from time to time, a street that breaks out that pattern just to keep things from feeling too rigid. But overall, I like cities with structured layouts and strong sense of order, even though that wasn't very common in the Middle Ages. In fact, I take a bit of inspiration from Roman urbanism, which is one of my favorites. Here we will build the main avenue, which will connect the King's Road to the stronghold, and which might later be lined with trees or gardens in some parts. It's likely that at the point where this avenue turns and intersects with the other road crossing the town, we will place the market that will supply the city, and we might add a bit of a garden area. We'll see as we go. Here you can see one of those concentric street examples I mentioned earlier. From time to time, I check that the house plots have enough backyard space, so I don't get any unpleasant surprises later and have to redo streets once they're already built. This triangular space we're outlining here looks perfect for some farms with large gardens that will help feed the town. We will probably develop them fairly early on, since food and variety are key limiting factors for proper city growth. This part of the city will host the storehouses and granaries, since it's relatively close to both the extractive area and the farmland. But more importantly, it's near the central market, which will supply the vast majority of the population. In general, I like to centralize all storage buildings in the same spot. It makes things much easier to manage. As you can see, I'm planning long-term by reserving space for future storage buildings, even if in the short term we will only build one of each. It might seem tedious to constantly correct road designs just to be more precise, but it makes the city growth way easier later on, since everything already has a designed space. Or maybe I just have a mild case of OCD. You be the judge. Here I'm visualizing what the backyards will look like for these first houses, since they will be among the first to be built and will have vegetable gardens to supply food in the early years. These gardens are extremely productive, just like apple orchards, although orchards needs to be unlocked and take years to reach full potential. And here's another one of those concentric streets I like so much. This plot here didn't quite convince me, but hey, it turned out to be the perfect opportunity to merge two concentric roads in a way that, to me at least, looks very elegant. And with that, I'm pretty satisfied with the result of this initial road network. I think it sets the stage for what we have visualized and will make for an absolutely stunning city. Eventually, this city will merge with neighboring towns, and the whole valley will be urbanized and fortified. In my mind, it looks amazing. And episode by episode, I'll be sharing it with all of you. So, what did you think of the start of this new adventure? And what do you think about the city layout we have planned? If you have any thoughts or suggestions, I would love to read them in the comments. See you in the next episode. And remember, you can have the finest and strongest army, but it only takes one cat on the keyboard to defeat it.